Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca and I'm so glad that you're joining me today. Today we're going to be talking all about how to care for finicky plants. So consider this your difficult diva plant guide. As we grow as plant people, it is very normal for us to want to venture out and try different types of plants. Maybe those that might be a little bit more expensive or rare. And with that comes sometimes a big price tag and also a lot of nerves. So today I wanted to just bring you through Okay, Leo. So today I wanted to talk about the best ways to make those plants happy and healthy and not a big point of stress for you. Something that I think is really important for us to note while we watch this video is that certain plants will be really difficult for me but really easy for you. So in a previous video where I talked about my top 10 easy and hard plants, it was so funny because a lot of people said mine are the complete opposite, which, I kind of half expected because plants in different environments will act in different ways. So what's easy for me could be really difficult for you, which is something that is so interesting about plants because it's hard to tell what exactly is going to be an easy or a hard plant. So what I'm trying to say is you might not know that you have a finicky plant until it's in your home and it has dropped all of its leaves or it's having a lot of issues. The first tip that I want to offer you today about caring for those finicky plants is to take a step back and try to understand what the plant needs and not necessarily what you want. There are some plants that absolutely need that high humidity to continue to produce beautiful green, non-crunchy foliage. That is not something that the plant is going to sit down and have a conversation with you and negotiate about. They can't do that and they're not going to do that. They are going to act how they have always acted. Not to say that you can't train a plant to live in a certain environment, but I'm not expecting my anthurium to live out in the open in 20% or lower humidity and put out beautiful new growth. It's just not gonna happen. With that, it's really important that you do research about your plants before you buy them so that we're not stress buying or what is the other one? Impulse buying all of these plants and then we end up killing them because we don't know how to care for them or we don't want to learn how to care for them. So if you know that your plant needs humidity, make sure it gets humidity. If your plant needs a lot of sunlight, make sure it gets that sunlight. If you feel like you can't provide those things naturally, then there are a lot of stylish and non-invasive ways to make that environment for your plants so that they are the happiest they can be, including humidifiers, greenhouses, cloches, or terrariums, or it's a light issue and you can definitely buy grow lights to supplement that problem as well. Whatever the case may be, you have to understand that the plant is not going to change for you. So when the plant breaks up with you, they're gonna say, it's not me, it's you. That was a really bad teacher joke, so please just forgive me for that one. All right, I had to. Tip number 2 for keeping those finicky plants happy is to put them in a place where you go often or look a lot or spend a lot of your time. The other day, and I don't know why, I put my Fittonia on this shelf behind me, and to be honest with you, the shelf is not something that I really look at that often, so a lot of the plants on there are pretty drought resistant or just kind of really vocal when they are thirsty to the point where I can see it from across the room. My Fittonia is a very small plant, so I didn't see it right away when it had completely flopped, and it had probably been flopped for like a day, I would say, before I actually realized that it had flopped. That plant, the Fittonia, I know that that plant is a princess. I am well aware of that. I have a lot of other princess plants too. But I put those plants in a place where I am consistently looking so that I can look at the plant and evaluate how it is doing every single day. When a plant is at eye level or just a place that I go often, I just have a tendency to touch it or look at it more often, which honestly, it makes sense, duh. So if you do have a plant that needs just a little bit more attention, put it in a place where it will get more attention. So my greenhouse, I hardly ever look in there, but I don't need to because that greenhouse is pretty self-sufficient. I hardly ever have to water it. I hardly ever have to check on those plants, but that's because I've set it up to be that way. A lot of the plants that are in there would need more consistent care and on looking, but since I put them in there, they're kind of like chilling, like they're teenagers now. They don't need mom, okay? So if you know that you have plants like that you just cannot give all of the attention that they need or the conditions, find a way to give that to them that is passive to you. So there's a lot of things that you can do with that, like hydrospikes, greenhouses, terrariums. I've talked about it all already, but I just wanted to reiterate that fact. If you don't want to or can't give them that consistent care, there's a lot of things that you can do to give it to them without you really working that hard for it. You can automate it. I work in marketing and we do a lot of automation, and it's very nice. So you can automate a lot of your plant processes. Okay, so back on subject, there will be plants that you just kind of will forget about and won't notice, obviously depending on how big your collection is. But I have 3 pothos in my house, and I literally don't even like touch them, pay attention to them until they look like they're thirsty. So maybe that's why, but also those plants, like, they need nothing from me besides like watering every 3 weeks. So that just kind of lends itself to those plants blending into the background. And if you are not careful with how you set up your plants in your home, those special plants that need more attention could also blend into the background, and that's not something that you want. Okay, tip number 3 on caring for finicky plants is to do your freaking research. You definitely want to make sure that you understand the needs of the plant before you buy it. But if you get in a situation, which we've all been in before, where you just buy a plant because it was beautiful on the spot, normal, it's okay. You just have to understand that this comes with things that you need to be aware of after the fact. So with that being said, Google University is your friend. I learned just about everything I know about houseplants through Google or through people I followed on Instagram or YouTube. So there are so many free resources out there for you. You just have to find them. I know very well that Google has a lot of conflicting information, but if you do a lot of research and look at a lot of different resources, you will be able to see that there is a lot of similarities between posts. And also, I'll say that YouTube is a really, really great place to get more in-depth information about a certain plant or a certain situation. I think it's also really important to document your own plant processes, whether that's like writing down in a plant journal or just taking mental notes whenever something happens. I think that's a really, really great way to keep tabs on what's happening in your home, because you might see similarities between certain plants and how they're acting, and you might be able to diagnose something yourself. I have done this a lot of times because a lot of plants will go through the same issues, especially if they're being cared for the same person in the same conditions. So definitely don't discredit yourself and the knowledge that you hold, because you probably hold a lot more than you thought. And tip number 4 for caring for those finicky plants is to not give up after your first fail. Had I given up the first time I killed a Fittonia, I would not have the relationship that I have now with that plant. I'm definitely not a quitter, and I know that you're not either. However, I think that it's really important to like draw the line. If there's like several of these plants that you're killing, maybe it's just not for you. And I think that's also really important to know, is sometimes certain plants just don't do well in your environment and with you. Definitely don't quit after the first time you have a fail, because there is a lot that you can learn from that and from yourself. All right, you guys, that is going to be all for this video. I really hope that you enjoyed and got some value out of this. If you have any additional tips for caring for those finicky plants, I would love for you to leave that information in the description box below. I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day and you are able to spend more time with those diva plants. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.